Throughout history, people with mental health problems have been silent victims of neglect and abuse. Till date, they experience the worst forms of human rights violations across the world, and their experiences of social exclusion, neglect, and physical and emotional assaults penetrate the rungs of society. And yet, the grief and grievances of those suffering from mental illnesses are largely overlooked by both the health and social sectors. Despite growing evidence that mental illness is curable, a persistent belief that mental health conditions are untreatable has led to the marginalization of the issue in the public domain. In developing countries, the forms of discrimination and stigma surrounding mental health problems and treatment differ largely in comparison to developed countries. Local, traditional, and spiritual healers are major suppliers of mental health services in developing countries. There is little commitment from the government and private sectors in promoting good mental health in the society and among the general public. In this context, Grand Challenges Canada, GCC, is working hard to globalize mental health issues. As a leader in the field, every year GCC funds innovative ideas to generate effective models to address challenges in global mental health. Till date, GCC's Global Mental Health Program has invested $39 million in 71 projects across 28 countries and in the Mental Health Innovation Network. The impact of these projects on the lives they touch is significant. 2 GCC-funded projects located in Chennai in India and Harare in Zimbabwe were studied to evaluate their impact on the people they serve and the communities in which they live. The lived experiences of those benefiting from both projects, that's the shared housing in Chennai and the friendship bench in Harare, are diverse. Located in the south of India, the shared housing is a new experimental project led and administered by the Bunyan, a mental health charity organization. The shared housing aims to rehabilitate homeless women with mental health problems in the community. Participants of this project are providing housing, medicine, vocational training, food, clothes, work, the support of healthcare workers and friends in the community in an effort to approach mental health from a holistic perspective. One of the residents of the shared housing, Anna Marie, has been able to gain access to work through the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. She's delighted to be employed and finally have an income, thanks to the shared housing and the Bunyan. Vijay is not only accessing the rural employment scheme, but she has also been given vocational training to do embroidery work. She even does household work in the community where she lives. She too is proud to be earning her own living. Rani is a member of the local community. She knows the Bunyan beneficiaries through the government work scheme and feels that they work very hard. She's even become close friends with some of the women at the Bunyan. Tenmozi manages a petty shop in the community where shared housing residents live. She's been observing the women at the Bunyan since day one. She says she has seen their path to recovery firsthand, how they learned social skills, how they found work, made money, and finally how they learned to be happy. Devi lives in the same house with the shared housing residents. She doesn't see them as a problem anymore. She hopes that her friends at the Bunyan will be able to find work, make money, and become empowered. Kalaya Rasi is a house owner, and shared housing residents live in one of her flats. She and her children interact with the residents well. She often shares her cooking, and the residents also share theirs. Kalaya Rasi remembers when the shared housing residents first moved to the community. At the time, the community members didn't allow children to talk with any of the shared housing residents. But after seeing Kalaya Rasi's children playing and talking with the residents, others have finally begun to follow suit. Whatever Padmavati remembers about her past is all tragic. She says that changed after coming to the shared housing. She feels she now gets excellent health care, has friends, and a community of people who are just like her family. Priya Vardhani spent over 22 years at the Banyan, and now she finally lives independently in Kovalam. She feels that although she has moved on in her life, the society still does see her as mentally ill. She simply cannot imagine having made the transition without the support of the shared housing and the Banyan. Jayalakshmi is happy to live in the shared housing. She has new friends like Ruby and Nandini. She believes medicine has helped her a lot for her recovery, while her new friends and food have made the entire experience even better. Kasturi is a mother of 2 children who never come to visit her. She still feels pain when she remembers her past and her family, but the shared housing has given her a tremendous sense of belonging. Here, she sees lots of opportunity to develop her skills and confidence and be happy. The Friendship Bench is a brief intervention delivered by supervised lay health workers or health promoters who are employed by the City of Harare Health Department. These workers have received training in problem-solving therapy, a cognitive behavioral intervention geared to improve an individual's ability to cope with stressful life experiences. The intervention consists of 6 45-minute sessions delivered on a wooden bench within the grounds of a clinic in a very discreet area. The counseling is offered hand in hand with a host of other social and economic interventions, such as trainings and other incentives. The experiences of those who have participated in these interventions have been largely encouraging. Tracy joined the Friendship Bench at a very difficult time in her life. She felt lonely and had the tendency to overthink. But with counseling from the lay health workers, things changed for the better. She has now also learned to make Z-bags and sells them at the local market. Before joining the Friendship Bench, Stella, a mother of 2, was terribly depressed. She'd even attempted suicide. In seeking services for her suicidal tendencies, Stella got in touch with the Friendship Bench team. She says that the health promoters at the bench taught her life-changing skills, including coping mechanisms and entrepreneurship. Rosa was diagnosed with HIV in 2013. Her first husband had passed away and her second marriage was failing. After contacting the Friendship Bench, she received the right counseling, which helped her find new motivation in her life. She is now in her 3rd marriage and believes she is very happy. Munya Radzi fell ill in 2009 after problems with her husband became chronic. Her husband eventually left her and she became severely depressed. 5 years later, in 2014, she came across the Friendship Bench team who offered her counseling and skill-building training. She never thought that she'd be able to live a normal life and was terribly worried about her children's future. But today, not only is she educating her children, she too has returned to school and is as happy as ever. Before Fungi received counseling from the Friendship Bench, she used to think too much. She was in an abusive marriage and feelings of hopelessness had begun to set in. But the Friendship Bench counseling helped Fungi to cope with her daily stressors. Her health improved and confidence increased radically. She left her husband and got the motivation to start a new business. Now she makes and sells peanut butter and is living an independent life. She believes that finally people have begun to look up to her in the community. Esther's husband left her for another woman, and soon after, Esther began to withdraw from society. While at a clinic for a regular checkup, she met the Friendship Bench team. She began receiving counseling from them, and it helped her to finally stop thinking so much. Like her peers, she too has taken up entrepreneurship and sells bags at the market. Esther's aunt takes care of 20 people in the household. She allowed Esther to stay with her after Esther's husband had left her. She is now so pleased to see that Esther's life has improved so drastically. Abigail is living a happy life after getting counseling and entrepreneurship support from the Friendship Bench. Being a depressed woman with HIV, she feels there was almost no hope in her life. But the bench counseling gave her the motivation to start a business. With the life-changing $5 given to her by the Friendship Bench, she's built a business today that sells eggs, fish, buns, and Z-bags at the local market. All these stories remind us that initiatives like the GCC's Global Mental Health Program are indeed having a positive impact. It is increasingly clear that with various kinds of support, whether medical, financial, social, or a mix of these, mental health problems can be overcome or managed. The work being implemented by the Bunyan and the Friendship Bench, both supported by the GCC, exemplify that a person's potential doesn't have to be limited by any illness they may have. People with mental health problems deserve global attention and more innovative and impactful projects that further explore how best to assist their basic rights to good health and happiness.